All right. Hi, everyone. I think we're
Hello.
live. If you're here tuning in, please comment with a wave or say hi, and just so we know who we're talking to. So today is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Really hope that you have had a great week. And if not, don't worry, it's the weekend. You can enjoy your
Mm,
weekend. Hopefully, you can relax and get some time for yourself and time for your mind to have a rest. Because today's session is, what is it on?
mindset.
It's mindset, yes. So, mindset is probably something that, yeah, we didn't really expect to learn from this digital business of ours. Actually, we came in, you know, hoping to have a business, a business opportunity, where we can grow in our finances and just learn about business. But surprisingly, this business has a lot to do with learning about the mindset. And but because of this, we realized that probably the biggest part of business is actually the mindset. So that's why this business actually talks a lot about mindset, about our personal growth, and also about business growth, the mindset in business. Because they say about 90% of startups of businesses fail, and that's most because of their mindset. So today we're going to talk about mindset, and
Yeah.
mindset is not just in the business world but also in our personal life. And because of this business, it's actually helped us a lot to be aware of our mindset, what we're thinking, and to apply it to all areas of our life, personal and business, and relationships with others.
Mm.
So, anything you want to add before we
No?
move on?
Oh, good.
Okay, so just want to thank you all for joining. And if you have any questions, or comments, please feel free to use the comment. It would actually help us to, yeah, provide you with with information that you're looking for. So, but what we're going to do first is actually just have a bit of a question, questions to each other, being real with you, because, mindset is something that I think we both struggled with. For me, I didn't realize I struggled that much with, to be honest. But now that I'm looking at, what I'm thinking and what's happened in the past, and even now, why my existing, business with our Visuals to Go app has, what has stopped its growth. It wasn't because of the product is not great, because I know this product is great. It's made so much impact in lives all around the world, and I've received countless testimonials about it. But the truth is, I think my mindset around, you know, business, my confidence, my thinking around it is probably stopped it from growing to where it really should be, right? So yeah, and that goes, from what we're learning through this digital business, it's just helped us so much, in our mindset around business. So I think I'm going to start with some questions. I think with Christina has been a lot more aware of her mindset probably than me. So I'm going to ask her because, most of you would already know that since our birth of our daughter during the COVID period, yeah, my wife actually got into very deep postnatal depression, right? So that was a very challenging time, and it's probably never been the same since then, has it? With the mindset, and it's been a challenge, over the years, and however, it's not a it's actually I see it as a good opportunity to really learn. It helped us grow to be aware, and hopefully her experience and my experience is going to help a lot of people who are going through the same boat, or might possibly will go through the same boat. So I'm going to ask my dear wife about mindset. Let me just see if anyone's tuning in yet. Not yet. So I guess, darling, with mindset, what is it that I noticed just the big change lately, that you've been really aware of your mind, of the mindset. And I know you have been in the past, you've had to have a lot of books and about, the mind. But what is it really now that's made this shift? Because I just noticed a change, a positive change in you and your dedication to improving your mindset. So yeah, please share with us.
Okay. Yeah, well, as you know, I struggled with postnatal depression 4 years ago when I thought I was born. And I think at that time, was very difficult for us because, she was in NICU for 2 months. And then after that, I was struggling with anxiety, very strong anxiety. And I think that really throw me out of the dumps because I kind of lost myself. I kind of lost who I was in the sense that I needed to look after this little girl, but also I needed to look after myself. And I think for the 4 years or 3 years, I struggled a lot with my mind. So I think I have a lot of books. I have read, I have done so many things for the last 20 years, I guess, of working and really trying to improve, trying to improve myself, trying to improve what I'm thinking. But I think now, to answer the question, I think now maybe there's a change. I think, I don't know, can be many factors. Can be that after a while, they say that after the storm, after the rain, the storm, the rainbow comes. So I think after so many years of struggling, I think I decided maybe, this is the time. But one of the things that really has helped me is actually the digital business, because the digital business, it doesn't focus, it helps, and it does focus about business. But one of the things that they focus a lot is the personal development. So I think the business has been such a help for me, because you have a lot of mastermind, you have training, you have courses, you have all these things, and they talk so much about mindset to the point that if you don't get it, they speak a lot about mindset.
That's
so I
true.
think
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that really inspired me, and also seeing other people's testimonies about how it have changed not only the business but their mind. So I think I was very encouraged, and that makes me open a little bit more of what was happening to me and more aware about my mindset.
That's
Yeah.
true. Very good. I think listening to people's testimonies has really helped. There were a lot of people who actually we could relate to. Their stories were very similar to ours. And just hearing their story and how they broke through, and just how this business has actually helped them so much was just very inspiring
Very helpful. Yeah, that's
and
very
helpful to
Yeah.
us. Thank you,
That was
darling.
good. That's all right.
Anyway, hi Jonathan. I can see you're here. Thank you for joining in again. So my next question to you would be, I guess being a Christian, I hear a lot of people saying that I guess the Bible is all you need, and they don't, people don't read anything else but the Bible, and personally, I've actually got into that uh, phase actually, which I meant, to be honest, I wasn't enjoying to read anything else, but I was just really enjoying just reading the Bible, because it's just full of stories, and that was all I was been reading for so long. But now that when I really look at it and think about it, is, you know there's actually so much things that I'm learning from people, from other people's stories, and learning and reading books as well. And I realized, I don't know, that there is, there is more than just reading the Bible. So, what do you think about that? Yeah, what's your thought?
What's my thought?
That's a tricky one,
It's a tricky one. I think I think the Bible, as a Christian, the Bible it's the foundation of our beliefs, and always, I think it's a great book to know about God, but also it's a book that you can apply what you learn from other people in the Bible. So I think the Bible is it's the foundation of our faith. So I think it's very important. But I also believe that God can use other resources, other people, other things to bless you and to help you as well. So, for example, some people go to psychologists, counselors, coaches. They go there because they need a little bit of help with with the mindset, with the lifestyle. So I think those type of things God can use it. God use doctors. Sometimes God heals without the doctor, but sometimes we need the doctor to get healed. So He has equipped other people with the resources to help us, to equip us. So I think the Bible is the foundation of our faith, but God also used many other things, also books. I like to read books, and I'm reading books I'm watching people, I'm watching this lady who is a Christian life coach, and it has helped me so much. She talks so much about, what we are talking about changing the way you think, and she do it in a Christian perspective. So I like that a lot. So I think I understand where people coming from, because I think probably I was like that too, but I think God is God, so He can use. You said that God even used a donkey
That's true.
in the Bible.
The Bible says God used a donkey, spoke through a donkey. So that's very good. So I guess my take on that would be, look, I feel it's almost going against the Bible if we weren't listening to other people. Because the Bible actually says, let the wise listen to the wise, and you want to, and it says, do whatever you can to get wisdom, as Solomon says. Do whatever you can, seek wisdom, get wisdom.
And also another Bible says, I'm not sure the Bible verse, but it's something about get a lot of counselors.
Yeah, I think it's, I think I recall that one. Don't remember what it is, but yeah, and all through the Bible is about relationships. It's about doing life with people. So I feel like if we're not, opening our minds to what people have to say, reading books, getting wisdom, a lot of people who write books are filled with wisdom, filled with wisdom of what they've been through, and and there's so much to share. So I just feel, even in business, there's actually very successful business people who do things with very great moral values, and these are people, if you're not good at business, it's good to learn from people, right? So I feel like, yes, the Bible is our foundation, is really all we need, but the Bible is telling us to get wisdom from people. Let the wise seek the wise, seek wisdom from the wise, right? So anyway, that's my take on that. Please comment below. I don't want to offend anybody, but if you have a differing view, I will respect that as well.
I think Jonathan has a question. How old were you when you start like reading books? I know that when I was back home. I think I started reading books when I was probably in my 20s. After becoming a Christian, I started buying a lot of books, Christian books especially. But that's the thing. I feel like I bought so many books because I think I was looking.
She's got a lot.
Yeah, at Panama I
We
have
gave
a
a lot away
lot.
too.
Yeah, so I think I was looking for something in the books, and I think at that time I was very new. I was not having too much wisdom, so I think that my mm, I think I needed to look for God more than in the books, more. And actually, we're contrary now to what we said before, but that's how I feel. When I was at that time, new person, I bought so many books because I wanted to get wisdom. I wanted to see how can I change myself. I wanted to have the latest knowledge for me to help me, but I couldn't never found it in the books because I think at that time I was very new. I was my motivation with the books were my motivation and my understanding about books were different than now. Like Tony said, now it's kind of like a help. Don't replace the Bible, but I think it's something that helps you as well. But at that time, for me, the books were everything. So I started very young. But now when I read a book, I think now that I'm reading books, I'm trying to be more aware of just learning and just don't take the book as the ultimate word, as the ultimate wisdom, but receive that extra help from the books.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree.
I'm not
So,
sure if
in
that
other
answers.
words, I think what Christine is saying is don't just base your whole beliefs around books,
Yeah,
self help books, you know,
yeah, even
but
Christian books.
even Christian books. But the Bible is you need to do it in addition to the Bible. So don't replace the Bible with other books. You know, I think the way I see it is the Bible is a heart change. I think the best thing about the Bible is a heart change, and the other self help books is probably probably a habit change, doing change. You know, it's about doing. You know, how do I improve this? But the Bible is a heart change because it's through the Bible we learn about the heart of God, that He loves you. You know, we want to change our heart and grow in our faith, and that's what the Bible does. However, if you want wisdom in finances and all of that,
Very helpful to read finances
you probably need to
book.
read a bit more on how you can manage your finances.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
get wisdom from other people. So, yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted. I think that was good to clear it up, though. I think it was important. So I guess, can we name something very specific that you learned in the digital business? You know, that speaks so much about mindset. Do you have anything that stood out that you gained from the digital business that they were talking about in the mindset?
um
I think I put you on the spot then.
yeah, in the digital business, what I learned from mindset, I think in general, every single training or mastermind that I watch, they talk about mindset. So I think what had touched me is a constant mentioning of how important it is, how important it is, how important it is. So I think that itself is the thing that actually make me understand how important it was. Maybe before I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. But now I'm kind of realizing how important it is to think about what are your beliefs and really be aware of that. So I think pretty much the whole time I listen and they mention it, I just get very encouraged.
Can you think of anything specific right now
That inspired me
from
from someone.
from someone in the business?
Yeah, I think when we were driving to Melbourne, we were listening the trainings on the car, and I think they were talking about mindset again. And I think this lady, who she was very bubbly and full of life, she was saying when she was in her 20s how somebody made a comment I think at that time she was quite like a big lady. Somebody make a comment about how about her weight, and she said that that really broke her. And I think she's in her 50 or 60, and she was just saying, that's something someone said. It, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm just living this life. I see the best in life. I'm 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 happy, she was saying, and I can see it in her eye. I can see her in her attitude. So I think after I listened to that and I listened to her, I can see that that really inspired me, and I think I started to say, no, I really want to change.
Yeah, so this lady, is doing really successfully in this business, and I think she struggled for a long time because of that one comment. That one comment, and she was 60, and that affected her for 40 years apparently. So 40 years been struggling, and then it's through this business that she's shifted. She's completely flipped her life right around, and she says she doesn't care what people think anymore, and and a lot of people would say that you're too old. She said, "You're too old to start this business."
They actually say that to her.
Yes, and she proved that she's not too old, and she's doing so well in the business, and she's free. She's actually, free from this one comment that affected her life for so long. So
Yeah.
I think that was actually very inspiring. I think we've all had words that people have said to us that held us captive for so long, and I know it's happened to my wife, and it's happened to me. I could share a story with you when when I was young in high school. I've always remember that exact moment and time. I was sitting in the PE class, and the PE teacher said something. He said something about movies. He said, like, in movies, nobody wants to see a skinny guy, short skinny guy with glasses featured on the movies. And at that time I was like, hey, you're describing me. And that one comment affected me, my self-esteem for so long, so long. And I always remember, I was this short, skinny guy with glasses, and on top of that, I had full of pimples everywhere. So my self-esteem was shot, and to the point when I lost confidence, especially with, meeting a girl. I couldn't. There was absolute zero confidence in talking to a girl that I liked. So, and to cut a long story short, God healed me. God healed me in quite a number of ways, in more instances than one. But one of the things that I gained from God was having Godfidence, not confidence. I gained confidence in God. I gained confidence that He cared for me, He loves me, and my confidence is in Him and not in myself. And I think there was one moment when I heard a very clear voice when I felt really down, and He just told me, instead of looking for love, why don't you start giving love? And that comment, it was a wake up call, and I was like, it's very true. So I just decided to give love. I decided to give from what I felt I never received. So when I saw people feeling lonely or down, I volunteered. I started volunteering and serving. I started to welcome them and really be so joyful in sharing, giving love to those people. And that healed me. And you know what? That's when I met Christina. I felt like God was telling me I wasn't ready then, but now I'm ready. And I met her. She was the most beautiful girl in the world. And actually, I met her before then, before I served. But I couldn't talk to her. I don't think I said a word to her when she welcomed me at church. But anyway, I served, and then I volunteered, and we became friends, and yeah, I was 35, and she was my first girlfriend, and now wife. So anyway, there was a lot more to it, before she became my girlfriend and wife. But I'm not going to share that because it would go on for way too long. But what was the point of that message, babe?
You wanted to share a point when you felt that somebody make a comment about
Yes.
you, and that really
Yes. So
affect you.
living on, I guess, the opinions of others, that is a huge, a big thing that could flip your life like down the track for many, many years. And I guess you know, it's never too late. That lady was 60 before she actually became free from that. But if you are somebody who has based your life about from one comment, of an opinion of others, or even now you may be living a life where you're always worrying about what people think of you, and you're not the only one. Just know that you're not the only one. Myself, my wife, we've also been there, and probably still affects us to today. When somebody thinks badly of us. So, and going out now here in the public in Facebook Live, it's actually, there's probably a lot of people who are thinking badly about us. But I think if you learn to break through, learn not to live your life based on someone's opinion of you, you will be free, right?
Yes.
But it's not easy, especially if something's affected you for so long. And sometimes your mind, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. Your thoughts become a habit. And it's not always that easy to change, right? But it's possible. I want to encourage you. It's possible,
Yeah.
right? Just answering Jonathan's questions. Let me see. How long she run her business?
I think the lady,
I think she's probably doing not for that long. I think she started at 60. I think she's probably did it for 4 years.
3 years, maybe.
Yeah, and
sure.
she's doing so well in it, and yeah, and the question. This is another question. We learn not to compare ourselves to others either, because we could look at it and we go, oh man, this person has been doing it for so little time, yet we're still in the same spot. That's another mindset shift.
Yeah.
We are on our own journey. We contribute to whatever we can in our situation, and honestly, we don't have that much time to put into this digital business, but we're plugging at it, whenever we can.
That's true. We're doing our best.
We're doing our best, balancing lots of things with our daughter, family, with my other business. So we're doing the best we can, plugging in, and we see the fruits. We see lots happening, and we're growing. So, does the God push you how to talk a girl fall in love with you? Jonathan, does a God push you how to talk to a girl? That's a very good question. I must say, Jonathan, this is my experience, is God doesn't, what is it, push you how to talk to a girl. No. God would, that's my opinion, no. God pushes you to gain confidence in Him.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, if you have confidence, Godfidence, in you, it gives security to the girl who potentially could fall in love with you. I'm not saying she will. So when I met Christina, God said to me, I had no confidence. I didn't think she would ever even like me. But God told me one thing is to help her no matter what. And it wasn't to get her, it wasn't for her to fall in love with me. And in fact, I liked her so much that even if she fell in love with another guy, the fact that she was happy, I would have been happy for her. I wouldn't have been happy for myself, but I would have been happy for her, right? And I think Christina probably saw that part of me, that they saw my heart, that I wasn't there
That's true.
to get her,
That's
right?
true.
So, no, answering that question, I don't think God would make a girl fall in love with you, but he'll definitely make you have confidence in yourself so that a girl may possibly fall in love with you. Right.
That's true.
So I think love is never about yourself. Love is never about me getting somebody. Love is what I can give her, regardless if that person loves me back or not. Right.
That's
And that's what
true.
Jesus did.
Love. Yeah.
Right. It's not about people loving him. It's because he loved people. Right. So good question. Good question. What else are we gonna say? Opinions of others. I think I really want to elaborate on that. How do we be free from being living a life being an opinion of others? That's a
Okay.
tricky one, isn't it? What do you think, darling?
Well, opinions of others. I think Tony mentioned um, comparing, like sometimes comparison. I think comparison can be very, 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 very hard. It can, I don't know, it can destroy your identity. I think I struggle a lot with that. I struggle a lot with comparison, with, I mean, I'm better, not that a lot, but I'm obviously better. But with caring so much about what people said about me, or having people approve you, I think in a way we all suffer a little bit of that. But I think um, the main thing I think is to really be aware that you are struggling with comparison. I think what is helping me now is
That's very true.
because sometimes I start feeling really bad, and I feel so bad, and I don't know why. And then I realize, oh, it's because maybe I'm looking at someone else and I'm not feeling good about myself. And I think, I mean, this is very personal, but I think being aware of that, being aware of what's happening, is the first step. If you want to be, if you want to get healed from caring so much of after the opinions of others, is really being aware. First thing, being aware of that's happening. And I think one of the things I'm learning about mindset is the first thing. Caroline Leaf, which is a neuroscientist lady, she wrote a book, and I'm reading her book. She said that the first thing when you want to change your mind, change your thoughts, change your belief, is to be aware. So I think
That's the first. Yep.
I think you have to be aware of what's happening. Ask questions and see, why I'm feeling like this, what's happening. So I think that will be. Does that answer your question? What was the question?
That's one. That's one thing. Yeah. How do we be free from the opinions of others?
Be free. Yeah, to be
So
aware.
I probably want to share just something, that I think I totally agree. First thing is aware. I think if you're not aware, you're never gonna be free. I think one of the things Christina started to do is actually write down her thoughts, isn't it? So you want to
Yes.
write down all the thoughts that you're having, and you open it up, and I think Carolyn Leaf said that unless the hidden things come into the open, those thoughts will never be malleable. Is that right? So
Yes. So the thoughts. First of all, when well, this is a neuroscientist, so it's not us, but there's a lot of beliefs in the subconscious. So what she's saying is, like, sometimes by asking questions, be aware, you can bring those beliefs to the conscious mind. And then she said that when that is in the conscious mind, it's malleable. That's why it says brain is able to change because the mind is able to change. So it's called neuroplasticity, which means you can actually change and change your thoughts, your belief. You can actually change it. And yeah, she mentions that is that verse that say, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So she's explaining a little bit more in the scientific
so the
what's
Bible,
happening.
there's a verse that says you can be transformed by the renewal of your mind from the Bible. So she kind of, because she actually broke a lot of people's beliefs, because she said that, scientifically they said that people with brain damage they basically cannot. The brain cannot be renewed because you're brain damaged, right? But she proved she went in, she based her belief around that verse that you can be transformed by the renewal of your mind, and she basically proved that even with brain damage, your brain can
Yeah,
still
she
be
has
renewed.
stories that she have done that.
Yeah, she had stories where someone was brain damaged, and he was basically she became so motivated through therapy that her IQ became even better than the time when she didn't get the brain damage. And that was all through a belief and will and changing the mind and
That's
faith.
true.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, anyway, sorry.
No, that's it.
That's it. So yeah, so bring your thoughts. Anyway, I wanted to share a story about, recently actually I did a presentation, and it was in a childcare center, and the childcare teacher asked me a question. He said that I have a child who would show all these behaviors, throwing things, pushing people, hurting, and then when you yell at him, he would laugh. Right? So you probably, if you ever worked with children, you probably have witnessed some children who are like that, right? So she asked me the question, what do I do? Do I treat them from a behavior point of view, or do I treat them with more like a deep, well, what I study is DIR therapy, and also I study behavior therapy. So she asked me that question, what do I do? And from a behavior perspective, what you would do is, she's doing all these behaviors to get attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore them. I'm going to ignore these behaviors because they're simply trying to get attention. But the thing that I raised to her is, that deep down that this boy probably is craving for attention, for love. This boy may not receive love, and she's just craving for that love and attention from other people. And there's one thing is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This boy is needing love, and needing to connect. He probably doesn't even know how to connect with people. Maybe he's probably got no friends that he can relate to.
I'm just looking at this book.
So what I'm trying
Craving for love.
Oh yeah. There we go. That's probably a God message. Craving for love.
Craving for love.
So my point is, I think every individual, whether you're young, older, 60, 70, 80, we all have a desire for love. To be loved, right? To be loved and to be able to give love. To be able to do life with people, relationships with people. And if a lot of our behaviors, if you see a lot of our behaviors will come out differently if we're not getting that. This is where people can fall into addictions and get into lots of other things. Why? It's not because of their doing, it's because deep down, we're actually desiring love. And be able to give love, do relationships, because that's, I believe, what we're created for. So that's where I feel, we really need to gain the love from God, not from people, because people's gonna hurt you. People's opinions gonna hurt you. If you base your love from people, that person can potentially hurt you when they say something nasty to you, and then your whole world is going to fall apart, right? But so if you get the love from God, that is secure. And you need to get the love from God to the point where you need to look for his love. I was in a place where I didn't look for God's love. I always felt that the Bible is for me to love people, right? Because, that's how I always felt. For God so loved the world. But for me, it's the world. It's not for me. It's for the world. But no, God loves the world and you. You are part of the world. you. He wants loves you. So I need it for myself because I asked God. I was having an argument with God one day. I said, God, I can't do it anymore. I mean, to be honest, I was talking about I can't do marriage anymore. I mean, I couldn't. But it wasn't because of her. It wasn't because of our marriage. It was because I was burnt out by feeling I had to give love, give love, give love. What I really needed was His love, God's love for me, and that's when I cried out to God and I said, God, all right, you want you know, you say you love me. How much do you love me? And then all of a sudden, God just poured out these things that He's done for me, and that's when I was filled with love again, and that's when I was able to give again. So I just think it's just so important that you know you're loved, that God loves you. And if you don't know how much He loves you, that's when you need to look for it. You need to ask God directly. Read the Bible. He'll tell you through the Bible how much He loves you. But you need to look for His love.
Yeah.
Not even reading the Bible from a place of what I should do. You need to read the Bible from a perspective of God's heart. Right? All right. So, does that answer that question in a way? What else is there, Jonathan? You're saying, how do you make yourself more as freedom?
And judgment. Do you mean less judgment? Or do you mean...
Yeah, do you mean your judgment of others or people judging you?
Or God's judgment?
Yeah, maybe clarify that. And Jonathan, to be love and self-belief ourselves always. To be love and self-belief ourselves always. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by there, but if you're saying a comment there, to be loved and self-belief ourselves always, I think what you're probably saying is that's what we're, to be loved and have self-belief. Is that what you're trying to say?
Everyone judgment.
Oh, everyone judgment.
everyone
Yeah, so
judgment.
that's Jonathan. When you're saying everyone's judgment, is basically what I was saying about don't live on the opinions of others, because opinions of others is judgment. Right, so we need to be free from living a life based on people's opinion of others. And how do you get free from that? You need to build your confidence. You deserve better. Your life is more valuable than people's opinions of yours. And that's one thing that I know, that people's opinions of me is really not that important. So don't live a life based on that. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. You are more valuable. That's going to affect your whole life and your life with others if you live your life based on opinions of others. It's not easy though, Jonathan, because it's just mindset change, and you probably do need to get that. Whatever ways you may talk to your pastor, talk to a counselor, or talk to someone who's got wisdom about it, but you need to get help to change that mindset of living a life based on people's judgment or opinions of you.
Because it's very tiring too when you are so worried about what people think. I think for me it takes all the energy, and you cannot really live your life.
Yes, very true. I think the last thing we want to talk about is probably the focusing, isn't it? Because you mentioned one of the mindset shift is learning to focus, right?
Yeah.
The importance of just focusing on something, and that actually shifts your mindset, right? Because sometimes our mind gets so scattered, So it's not so much what we focus, it's just the practice of focusing. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I was looking, I've been looking a lot about the brain, the mindset, and all of these things. Actually, I've been listening to a lot of neuroscientists, people that study the brain, and they giving you a lot of knowledge about a lot of information. So one of the things that he said to change your mind is to focus. And he was saying that focus is a skill that you can learn. And for me, focus is important because it's for everyone. I think it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to you have to do something, but then on your mind comes, I have to wash the dishes, I have to do the laundry, I have to do all these things, and then you cannot focus. That happened to me a lot. And if you are someone who thinks a lot and um, don't focus, I think that can actually affect your mindset. So he's saying like one of the ways to change is to really focus. And how do you do that? The first thing you can do is I said to you before, I forgot. The first thing you can do to focus is, well,
Set a time. Just set
Set-
your time.
set a time. So you just get rid of all distraction. You get rid of the phone.
Or
you
change the
can-
environment. You think you said.
yeah,
for-
change environment. So yeah, so get rid of the phone, get rid of
Any distractions.
any distractions. Is maybe there's a book, a magazine. You just focus. If you have to study, for example, for an exam, you just sit down and you just focus on the exam, on studying. And then the other thing is the environment. That makes sure the environment is nice. They have, it's an environment that makes the setting want you to study. For example, if I need to study but I'm in the kitchen, it kind of doesn't help. Or if I study and then I'm in front of the TV, also it doesn't help. But for me personally, yesterday we did a big cleaning of our house, and I feel so much better because the house was just looking
Like a
horrible.
mess. You can't focus. 'cause
But
it's too
now
much.
the house is very
Not that clean, but
clean. I mean, it's better. It's better.
there's still boxes.
Still, there's a lot of
But
boxes
it's a
we
lot
have
better
to.
than before.
It's better than before, and I realize it's true. Like the environment is very important, because sometimes the environment can tell you what's happening. I think this life coach, Christian life coach, I've been listening, her name is Terry. She was saying like the first thing God told you when she was, she wanted to do a business, she wanted to write a book, she wanted to do so many things. And God told her, God put in her heart, you have to clean the mess. And she was like, is that God or is my mom talking? And then she said that she realized that at home she needed to clean, because she was not looking after the things. And sometimes that is the product of what we are thinking. So those two things, focus, but I still forget the third thing. I know I say something about focus, but I don't remember. The environment, set the time, and I think just being,
Basically, if you don't schedule a time, you're not going to do it.
yeah, you're
Right.
not going to do it. Yeah.
That's about setting the time. And set the duration as well. So
Yeah, maybe focus, like I say, is a skill, so repetition is key. So if you are doing something that requires your focus but you're distracted, always come back and always come back, and don't feel discouraged. Just the repetition, you learn things by repetition. That's how you create a habit. So just practicing that skill, and that at the end of the day, that can help you change your mindset. But I think also, let's say I want to change my mindset, because when you focus, that's what Caroline says, your mind also is very malleable. That's the best way. That's when the mind are more malleable, when you are focusing on something. So she was saying also that the first step to change your mindset was few steps, but the first one was to be aware of what you are thinking, being aware of what is it that you're putting in your mind. And for me, I've been practicing that a lot, like, oh no, I'm comparing myself, oh no, I'm not thinking very well about myself. So I've been aware of it. And she said that actually is so good. That's basically most of the work, is to be aware, because then you can change it. And the second thing is write it down. Like you can write it down, and I think when you see it as well on the paper, is even better, because it's like you're taking it out from darkness into the light. And also she said about reflecting and asking questions. Why do I feel this way? Why is happening? To get to the bottom of what's happening. So that's some steps that I'm following to change. That helps to change mindset. So I hope that can help other people.
Yeah, no, that's
Sure.
good. Yeah, that's
Yes,
good.
Jonathan.
I think one of the things that the business suggests us to do is this thing called savers. But one of the things which was S is silence, and that silence is just spending 10 minutes, or starting with 10 minutes, or for us it's 5 minutes. So for me, it's like 5 minutes, dedicating that 5 minutes in the morning with God, with silence and prayer. And for me, that's helped me so much, because normally my mind is like, oh, so many things to do, so many things to do. And I just start work, and then the end really is the end of the day, I feel I've done nothing productive.
That's true.
So I think that 5 minutes of focus, silence, prayer, that really helps me, to be honest.
It's very
Something very
helpful.
practical
Yeah, it's
if
very
that you
helpful.
can do, because yeah, that silence is very important. Then there's the other ones as well. A for affirmation, V for visualization, E for exercise, R for reading, and S for scribing or journaling. So that's one of the things in that book. So if you want to learn more about the savers, you can download the Miracle Morning book. And
You can DM us and we'll give you the
DM us, yes.
details.
Actually, our digital business, for people who have registered on our website, then we give them access to a Facebook digital business group, and that digital business group actually has a lot of resources, and one of them is you get this free book. You get the free Miracle Morning book. So if you want a copy of that, register on our website. Our website's on our page, and our website would also lead you to a webinar, a complimentary webinar where you can watch to learn a bit more about what we do, about the business that we got into. Yeah, so I think we're gonna close soon, but before you go, we'd love to share that, if for people who are interested in what we're doing in the digital business. It is a digital business that has a very supportive community. It has mentorship. It has automations, and there's so much learning involved. Learning about the mind. Every week they have masterminds of training, and it's just been one of those, like, business that we're so proud of. It's a venture that we took, and honestly, we didn't expect it to be like this. We just thought we'd just get into a business, but this business is so much more than a business. It's actually, in our opinion, a life changing thing for ourselves. The growth that we gain from this is amazing. So if it's something that you're interested in, or you want to learn more, contact us, DM us, or you just register on our website. It will give you to a webinar that you can watch as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you for
so
watching
much.
us again.
Yeah, thank you. I hope this one was helpful.
Yes, so every Friday, 10 a.m., we're doing this unless something changes. But thank you for joining.
Thank you for
And we
joining.
hope to talk to you again next Friday. Thank you, Jonathan, again
Thank you,
for your
Jonathan.
participation. God bless you.
God bless you.
Have a great Friday and
Bye.
enjoy your
Great
weekend.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.